Hey, Aubrey, we have similar backgrounds today.
I know, right? We have some fun shelves with books and all kinds of great stuff on them. Really fun.
Guys, if you are listening to this in podcast form, love it. Keep doing that. But remember, we also have a YouTube channel, IELTS Energy TV, and you can see video podcasts. Every single one of these we also put on YouTube in video form, guys. So check that out on YouTube. There is still construction happening where I live. And it will be for a few months. So I'm at a friend's house and I have their I'm recording in their basement and all of their sons like books and toys are behind me on shelves.
It's so fun. I know. Check it out on YouTube. And that's also one of the best places to interact with us as far as leaving a comment on
Yes.
YouTube. You can post questions there, share your opinion about the episode. We love to read those comments. So yeah, watch on YouTube if you want and leave us a comment.
Yeah, we grab a lot of questions from the YouTube comments to make episodes, guys. So definitely do that. We do read them. All right. So what are we talking about today?
Yes, we are sharing a very common mistake that a lot of IELTS students make when they're answering IELTS speaking questions about preferences. If you're asked, do you prefer chocolate or strawberry ice cream? And you want to say both, like you cannot choose, you love both, you absolutely can say that. But there's a common error when we say that. We can't say, I prefer both. And we hear students say this sometimes.
Yes. And it's tricky because sometimes students think they have to choose they like you have to choose one, you know?
Right.
Like if like there's a right answer that you that you have to give. But if you do in fact like both things that the examiner is asking you about in speaking part 1, be honest, right? Whenever we are being honest and sharing our true feelings and thoughts and ideas, you're always going to sound more fluent.
Absolutely. So, we are going to share some common IELTS speaking questions that might ask you for preferences. And then we're going to give you some amazing sample answers and vocabulary so you know exactly how to do this and can avoid this mistake. But first,
Mhm.
we want to make sure that you didn't miss one of our recent episodes, which again highlighted a very common mistake we see that we want to make sure you guys avoid making. It was episode 1342. You could just scroll up to see that, how to get IELTS number words right. And if you missed it, be sure to hit follow because you might be missing a lot of episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, another great vocab episode last Friday is the very last one. So go up and check that out, guys. All right. So first, Aubrey and I are going to share some speaking part 1 questions about preferences. This is a super, super common question structure in speaking part 1, guys. I'm going to say that you have like a 90% chance of getting a preference question in speaking part 1. So we're going to ask and answer some questions, see what vocab comes up. And then Aubrey thought of some amazing, amazing, amazing vocabulary for liking two things that we're going to share in the last half of today's
Yes, awesome.
episode.
You're welcome. It's going to be fantastic. Okay, I will ask you the first question here, Jessica. Ready?
I'm ready.
Do you prefer to spend your evenings with family or friends?
I honestly I prefer neither. Okay, if I'm gonna be just brutally honest here, my dream ideal evening is to be completely alone in a quiet house with time to work on stained glass projects. But if I have to choose one, I would say I like both, honestly.
Okay, this is really interesting because we were saying, the mistake we see is someone just saying, I prefer both. I like this and this equally. But you can say, actually, I prefer neither, almost like playfully, right? And then you're going to explain why you don't like either of these things.
I gotta be honest, guys. We told you to use that strategy at the beginning of today's episode, so we need to follow through on that. All right, Aubrey,
Absolutely.
do you prefer eating out or cooking at home?
Hands down, I would always choose eating out if that's an option. Unfortunately, it's pricey, right? It's really expensive. So we can't go out to eat all the time. Most of the time, I end up cooking at home. But if I could choose, oh, I would always prefer to go out.
So there again, like that's another option. You don't just have to say, I like this thing because of this, right? You could say, well, I would prefer this thing, but I am hindered in following through with that all the time, and I have to do the other thing.
Yes, right? Just share why. If you prefer one but actually do the other, that's just
Yeah.
gonna pull out so much interesting detail and vocabulary. So don't hesitate to share that if that's the case.
And what great vocabulary. I mean, what great grammar as well to be like, well, honestly, I would prefer, right? It's this wish, it's this unreal structure that you're presenting. I would prefer this, but unfortunately, I can't.
Yes. Okay, one more for you, Jessica. Do you prefer spending time with one friend or a large group of friends?
Oh gosh. That's a tough one because it really does depend on my energy and the day and the event, right? Like what we're doing. Um, I do really value the one-on-one time with friends to really dig deep into what's happening in each other's lives and take on all the complaints and the allowing someone to vent all of their frustrations and accomplishments as well. But I also really love the experience of being in a large group of friends and talking to a bunch of people and really not knowing what's going to happen because there are so many people in one place and a lot of conversations are possible.
Oh, I love that. So, you guys have seen how there are so many options when you're asked about your preferences. There is not a right and wrong answer. It's not black or white. Jessica's answer there, she's saying she likes both, but it depends on the circumstance. It depends on the friends and the activity. So, there are so many options here. You just want to avoid that mistake of saying, I prefer both. Because when you say that chunk, I prefer, you're saying you do like one more than the other. So
Yeah.
just watch your vocabulary, but you are not limited when you're asked about your preferences. You absolutely can share that you like both, or you like neither, or depends on the circumstances for sure.
Okay, Aubrey, let's get into these amazing words that you thought of that we're going to teach our students today. So, again, guys, we are talking about how to say that you like both things if the examiner asks you about preferences, which always happens in speaking part one. So, the first is dilemma. This is such a high level word for problem, but that doesn't mean it is like only a formal word. You can use this in speaking part one as well.
Absolutely. It's not necessarily overly formal. It's just a little less common. So it's a band nine word. I rarely hear students say it, but it would
Yeah.
work in speaking part one. You're asked a question about maybe what you like to do for holidays, who you want to spend your holidays.
Mm,
And you could just start it by saying, that is a real dilemma for me. I
yeah.
love celebrating with family, but also I want a vacation. I want to be by the ocean by myself.
Yeah, or like some people have to choose what family to spend the holidays with, right? Like
Yes.
maybe your partner's family wants you to go there and your family wants you to go there. Like that's a dilemma.
Absolutely, that's difficult for sure, and the next one is dither.
I love this one so
It's
much.
so good, guys. If you can practice this, sneak it in, band 9 for sure. You could say, "I don't mean to dither, but I don't think I can choose one over the other." So if you decide, "I like both," even if it's ice cream, it can be something, casual. Just this is a way to say, I realize that I'm not choosing, but it's too difficult to choose here."
Yeah, so dither means to hesitate because it's difficult to choose, right?
Right.
And so you are dithering if you are taking too much time to choose something. Okay. So this is a great sort of filler phrase if you don't know which thing you prefer when you're asked on the speaking test. So maybe at the beginning of your answer, you could be like, oh my gosh, I mean, honestly, I like every single flavor of ice cream. I don't mean to dither here, but I really cannot choose just one favorite flavor.
Yes, you could use this word as well for opinions. If you need to share an opinion and you
Yeah.
don't have a really clear opinion or you haven't thought about a great filler, right? I don't mean to dither, but I haven't really thought about this a ton. I guess I feel that, right? And then share your opinion gives you a little time to think.
I don't mean to dither. It's not a common word, guys, but I can guarantee you the examiner knows this word and will
Yes.
be impressed when you use it because precisely that it is uncommon, right?
Right.
All right, this next one is awesome, and it reminds me of the Riddler in Batman. Quandary. So,
So good.
a
I love this word.
quandary is like a really puzzling problem, right? It's something that you cannot figure out. This is a difficult answer to arrive at.
Yes, so you can just say, that's a real quandary for me. If ever you're having a hard time deciding what you prefer, what your opinion is, this works everywhere. Now, this does mean a little bit like this needs to be something that is difficult, is complicated. Would you say, if someone asked you which ice cream you prefer, Jessica, would you ever say, like, that's a real quandary? Maybe kind of
Well,
playfully as a
yeah.
joke.
I
Yeah,
would say that because,
that's true.
yeah, you can use it like a little bit sarcastically. You can use it to go to the extremes, like we encourage you guys to do in order to have fun speaking English and use great vocab. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you could say
Even,
like, I know this shouldn't be a quandary, but
right.
it kind of is because I like both.
Yeah, totally. The question about eating in or eating out, right? Cooking at home or eating out. You could be like, ugh, honestly, this is it's kind of a quandary for me because I am so exhausted at night and I don't want to cook. I just want to go to a restaurant and be served and not have to do any dishes, but I know it's expensive and I need to save money.
Yes, exactly. It was so good. That's a great filler phrase too, both of those, amazing. All right, and the
All right.
last one's a little more informal, just to say, "That's tough," right? If you get a
Yeah.
question, you don't know the maybe you're not sure what you prefer, what your opinion is, to say, "Oh, that's tough. I really can't choose."
Yeah, or that's a tough one, right? Either
Mhm.
one. And again, this is just to buy you time so you think of something to say, right?
Yeah, that
So
can't
you
be your
can,
only answer, right? That's tough,
yeah,
full stop.
because
You
you have
still
to
have to
answer.
answer.
You still have to say like that you do in fact like both things and why you like both things,
Right.
right?
Exactly, yeah.
All right.
Don't we better make sure the takeaway is not, you can just say that it's difficult and don't actually answer the question. No.
Yeah. These are just amazing vocabulary phrases to increase that vocab score and to buy you time to think of what else to say. So, definitely listen today a couple times, guys. Those vocab words were dilemma, dither, quandary, and ooh, that's a tough one. So, try to listen a couple times and write down those phrases and practice them out loud.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. This was a really fun episode.
Super fun. All right, I'll see you Friday.
Yep, bye.
Bye.